All right, everyone, starting our first unit for Algebra 2 Trig Honors. This unit is not in your textbook. You can find it on Schoology. It's just a quick review of concepts you have learned in Algebra 1. We're going to start with just solving linear equations with one variable. So a quick review, a linear equation is an equation that represents a straight line. And the solution to a linear equation with one variable, remember a variable is just a letter representing something unknown. It's the value or values for that variable that solve the equation. Okay, and there are some steps that we're going to use to solve these linear equations. We're going to be using order of operations, and then we're going to be isolating that variable. These steps, using order of operations and then isolating the variable, are just like the steps that you have probably seen before, where you distribute. If you have parentheses or an exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, those are all steps for combining like terms. And then our last step is using inverse operations to isolate. Inverse operations to isolate the variable. And whenever you have an equation, you can always check your work. So I guess you can make that one last step if you want. I'm not going to write that right now, but I'll go ahead and check each of the problems that we solved together. Keep in mind, you can have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions when you're solving these equations. So let's start with this first example. If we're using our steps, we see parentheses, we need to distribute. Remember, order of operations means use parentheses first. So we're going to distribute the 2 to the 6x and the negative 4.5. We get 12x minus 9 minus 4x equals 3x plus 1. Combining like terms is when you have the same term on each side, and that same term means the same number and degree of a variable. So 12x and 4x, those are like terms because they both have a coefficient and they both have a variable with a degree of 1. Combine these and we get 8x minus 9. And now we can start isolating. Get the variables on the same side. So move your 3x over. We get 5x minus 9. If we have our variables on the left side of the equation, we're going to move everything else over. And we get x equals 2. Remember, if you have time, especially if this is your homework problem, check your work. It's quick, it's not too difficult, it helps you practice some mental math. We're going to plug in 2 everywhere we see our variable x, so 2 times 6 times 2 minus 4.5 minus 4 times 2 equals 3 times 2 plus 1. Some quick mental math here. We get 12 minus 4.5 minus 8 equals 6 plus 1. We get 2 times 7.5 would get us 12 minus 8. 7.5 doubled is 15, and this checks out. We get 7 equals 7. Great. Okay, so if you have time, always check your work. This was a linear equation, an example where you have one solution. Let's try 2 more, and then we'll let you practice some on your own. Go ahead and flip this over. Let's try example B. Hopefully you notice that x plus 2, it's the same expression on both sides of your equation. So right away, whenever you notice something like that, there should be an infinite number of solutions. Another way you might see that is if we start isolating and we want to get the variables on the same side. Well, we get 2 equals 2. This is true. This is always true, 2 equals 2. And when that's the case, that's when you have infinitely many solutions. No matter what you plug in for your variable, both sides of the equation are going to remain the same. The equation is going to be balanced. For x plus 1 equals x, you could do the same thing. Or if you notice you have an expression and there's no coefficient in front of x that are different on both sides, well, you're going to get something that's not true here. We get 1 equals 0. That's not true or false. So this would be an example when there is no solution. So if you just stick to your steps of PEMDAS and then isolating the variable, so using order of operations, then isolating the variable, or distributing, combining like terms, and isolating, you will have an equation that is left either with one solution, infinitely many solutions, or no solutions. Okay. Why don't you try the evens for practice right now? Okay. So that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and then the odds will be for homework. Okay. So you guys can go ahead and work through these evens, and then I will have the solutions on here for you when you are done. For number 2, when we are getting our like terms on the same side, we get 12m equals negative 54 and m equals negative 4.5. For the sake of time, I'm not going to plug each of these back in and check. You are welcome to do that on your own. For number 4, distribute and get 4x minus 6. Now start isolating, get your variables on the same side. Get 3x equals 1. X equals 1/3. For number 6, again, distribute. 4x plus 6 equals 4x plus 3. So perfect. Here's an example where you have the same expression on each side, or like terms, the same exact term, 4x and 4x, but something different being added to that solution or to that expression. So this is going to be an example where you have no solution. If we just kept solving, we get 6 equals 3. That's not true. No solution. When you're left with an equation, that's not true. Number 8, distribute. We're going to have like terms on both sides of our equation here, negative 6 and positive 3, 10 and 7. Again, get your variables on the same side, so subtract our 2x, add our 3 to the other side. We get 10x equals 20, and we're left with x equals 2. Divide that 10 over. 10 goes into 22 times. And last one, number 10. Again, distribute. Half of 8 is 4, half of 6 is 3. No like term, so start isolating. I'm going to add the 3x over to keep our coefficient positive. Subtract 2 to the other side. We get 1/2 x equals 2. How many times does a half go into 1? It goes in twice, so then it goes into 2 4 times. Remember, if you're dividing a number by a fraction, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So you're really doing 2 times 2 over 1, which is 4. Okay. You are welcome to check those solutions and plug them back in if you'd like. Your homework is going to be just 5 problems, the odds for tonight, and then we will continue with 1.2 and 1.3 later on this week.